June 2009, a squadron from SEAL Team 6 deployed to Afghanistan to hunt down high-value Taliban targets. They were hunting a group of bomb makers, which was typically a pretty straightforward mission, but word had spread that Navy SEALs were active in the area, and the bomb makers knew the SEALs preferred to hunt at night, which made them terrified of the dark. And so the bomb makers came up with a surprisingly intelligent plan. They started exclusively working in the light of day. They would build their little bombs in a few houses in Afghanistan and then quickly drive across the border into Pakistan before nightfall, allowing them to sleep safely outside of their enemy's reach, but only if they could survive the drive to Pakistan. The SEALs were from Naval Special Warfare Development Group, Red Squadron, and they were arriving in Afghanistan fresh off the heels of saving Captain Phillips just 2 months prior. Needless to say, after making history and being all over the headlines for the last month, the team was feeling untouchable. They were the best of the best, and they knew it. But more importantly, the enemy knew it. They were stationed at Forward Operating Base Sharana in Paktika Province, Afghanistan. Unfortunately, they had multiple Black Hawk helicopters equipped with Gatling-style 6-barrel miniguns at their disposal. So they decided the best way to nail these bomb makers was to blast them from the sky during their drive to the Pakistan border. Drone operators kept a close eye on the bomb makers' compounds, and sure enough, later that evening, right on schedule, the enemy made a beeline straight to the border. So the operators quickly hopped in their Blackhawks and raced to stop them. They caught up with the bomb makers about halfway to the border and used their minigun to send 4,000 rounds per minute right in front of the vehicles, bringing them to a dead stop. The SEALs could have easily ripped their cars in half with a minigun, and they certainly would have if they hadn't stopped, but they wanted to give these guys a chance to surrender because taking them alive is almost always more valuable than just killing them. But unfortunately, they didn't surrender. Instead, they ditched their vehicles and took off on foot. One of them ran straight into some nearby tall grass to hide alone, and the SEALs decided that that was their guy for the night. So they landed the chopper and walked into the grass. This was a dangerous move because the enemy could stand up and start shooting at any moment, and they didn't know exactly where he was in the field, but they were counting on having a faster reaction time than the enemy. As they slowly and quietly crept through the tall grass, a massive explosion suddenly went off farther into the field, and they could see the bomb maker's arms go flying through the air in two totally different directions. It turns out he was wearing a suicide vest and must have thought the SEALs were much closer than they actually were. He blew himself up a bit too early, giving the SEALs nothing more than a good laugh before hopping back on the helicopter. The next night, a much larger group of bomb makers took off yet again towards the border, so the SEALs quickly hopped in the Blackhawks and raced off to catch up to them. But this time, when the enemy spotted the Blackhawks flying overhead, they split up into two separate groups. So Chopper 1-1 took the first group and Chopper 1-2 took the other. The group Chopper 1-1 was chasing ended up ditching their vehicles and running up a hill into some thick trees so they wouldn't be able to attack from the sky. The SEALs quickly landed the chopper to chase them up the hill, but as soon as they reached the bottom of the hill, they got pinned down by the enemy on top. Needless to say, that was a bad position to be in. Fighting uphill is never a good idea. Naval Special Warfare Operator Robert O'Neill grabbed one other SEAL and the team's EOD technician and flanked around the back of the hill to take the enemy by surprise. They slowly and quietly made their way up the back of the hill and managed to get right behind the bomb makers without them having any idea. Using their suppressed rifles, the operators dumped the enemy fighters with just a few quick shots to the back of their heads, splitting them right down the middle. The team's EOD technician then carefully checked the bodies for suicide vests, and thankfully they were all clean. As they were wrapping things up on top of the hill, they heard a call for FWIA come over the radio from the team on Chopper 1-2, which means friendly wounded in action. The team's dog Cairo had been hit. Team 1-2 had chased their bomb maker into a nearby set of buildings. When the target jumped over a wall into a small compound, the team sent their dog Cairo in after him. Cairo quickly jumped over the wall, but the bomb maker managed to climb into a tree before the dog could get to him. With the dog barking at the base of the tree, the terrorist coward shot several rounds from his AK into Cairo's abdomen. Despite his near-fatal wound, Cairo managed to drag himself around the wall and back to the team. Cairo had taken multiple shots so his teammates wouldn't have to, and thanks to his barking, the team now knew exactly where the bomb maker was. So they quickly surrounded the tree and shot countless rounds into the bomb maker, dropping him out of the tree.
Oh, I see him, yep. You point your weapon at him. Shots fired. Shot him out of the tree. Oh, that's too bad.
With the area now completely clear, the team's medics got to work on Cairo just like they would any other human teammate. They quickly shaved his fur down and put a chest seal on to control the bleeding. They then called for a medevac, which quickly transported Cairo and the team to Bagram before eventually loading Cairo onto a plane to Germany for further treatment. Despite the team's best efforts, it wasn't looking good for Cairo, so the team didn't hold much hope. But to everyone's surprise, just 3 days later, they got word that Cairo had survived. But not only did he survive, he was going to make a full recovery and return to the team very soon. Little did they know, Cairo would soon make history when he charged into bin Laden's compound alongside his SEAL brothers during Operation Neptune Spear in 2011.